Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 9 of the card making countdown, where I'm showing you how to make 10 different types of greetings card with your Cricut in 10 days. Today we are making cards using fold out flowers. So this is flowers where the petals have been cut with a single cut line so that we can gently bend them outwards to make a really effective 3D look. Each of these flowers has a tiny bit of holographic card behind it. You can see it shine as I put it into my camera lights, which gives it a lovely appearance. 2 pre-made templates are included with today's project, which is these two. This one is a new one. This one you might recognize as being similar to a card that I made a couple of years ago for an online summit, but on that one it just had regular flowers, so I've upgraded it for my card making countdown with the fold out flowers instead. And in case that's not enough for today, I've also provided over 20 different fold-out flower designs for you. And in part 2 of this video, we'll see how you can use them to make your very own custom greetings cards in Design Space using any silhouette. I've chosen a spaniel dog and then put all the flowers round. So I'll show you how to cut your silhouette out from the card and then how to position the flowers so that some of them go into the silhouette, and then some little tricks for cutting it out and what to do if maybe it doesn't cut out right on the first try. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the card making countdown at craftwithsarah.com/cards24. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/cards24 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all the files from the card making countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. These are the 2 pre-made card designs shown in today's download. I'll show you how to do the one with the vase in for this video, but it works exactly the same for the other one too. So I'll just go ahead and delete that one. Now for these 2 pre-made designs, there is very little that you actually need to do in Cricut Design Space. In fact, the only thing we're going to do is to add a score line down the middle of the card. That will make it easier to fold, but you can leave that out if you prefer to do it manually. So I'll click on my design and then ungroup all the layers by pressing the Ungroup button in the Layers panel. And then scroll down to the very bottom and click that bottom layer, which is the base card, and then press the eye icon that appears in the Layers panel when you hover over it to hide it. Drag a box around everything else and regroup it by pressing the Group button, and then hide that and turn on the original card. That's just a nice quick and easy way to make sure that we can only see the base card now. Go into Shapes and choose a score line and set it to the height of the card, which is 7 inches. Press Select All to select both of those, and then go Align Center to put it in the middle. We need to tell the Cricut to do the score line on this base card, so with those layers still selected, go down the bottom of the Layers panel and press Attach. Attach moves it to the top of the layers. To put it back down to the bottom again, press Arrange, Center Back. Then we can turn on the rest of the card. And that's it. It's ready to cut. It really is that easy. If I go ahead and press Make, then we can see what we've got here. You can change the paper size in the drop downs over on the left. And if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. This is a great project for using your scraps because some of them just need a really little amount of a colour. So rather than cutting into a brand new sheet, you could just use a little bit of card left over from another project. The ones that show in grey are the ones that are intended to be cut from either holographic or glitter or metallic card, or you could even use kind of silver or gold craft board, just something that's really going to stand out underneath all of the flowers and give it a bit of sparkle. So go ahead, get everything cut out, and then we'll see how to stick it all together. I've now got all the pieces of my card cut out, so it's time to start sticking it together. I'm going to start by sticking the 2 rectangles onto the base card, which I folded in half down the score line. So I'll start by putting the white on top of the blue. And then I'll glue this to the front of the card. Next, we're going to prepare the flowers. I've already done most of them, which you can see here, but I've left one to do so that you can see. This is the holographic card I used to cut those backings out of. You can see there's a nice little rainbow when the light hits it. And this is what the flowers look like when they're all put together with the fold-out flowers. You can just see the sparkle coming through. It's subtle, but it's beautiful. Okay, so first, take the flowers with all those little cutouts in and go down each petal and gently fold it upwards towards you. And be careful, especially on the smaller ones, that you don't tear anything. We're just being super, super gentle. And at this point, put them up quite a long way so that when you turn it upside down, you can see where to glue. Don't add your glue on anything you've just bent upwards. It just goes in the middle. And then, if you can, get some around the edges too. It's very, very narrow, so be careful. And then find the matching backing piece. They're all different shapes and sizes because they match the individual flowers. And stick that into the middle. Okay. Can leave that dry a little bit and shape the middle piece of the flower. So these are obviously just flat as they come. If you've got an old piece of packaging foam or something similar, I'm using the wrist support of my mouse mat, something squidgy, and then either a ball tool for crafts or for fondant icing, or just anything that's got a bit of a rounded edge on. This is a, I don't know the name for it, a stylus for using with a tablet instead of your finger, but this end of it I think is going to work quite well. I'm going to just gently push and roll into my flower. And as I do that, the petals will bend upwards so it becomes a little bit 3D. Looks a little bit more realistic. And then let's zoom in so you can see better. Okay. Push down the petals a little bit so you've got a flat middle. Tiny bit of glue just in that centre. And then stick the middle on like that. Oh, don't turn it upside down like that. Like that. Okay, so at this point you'd go through and do all the flowers. But as I said, I've already done the other ones. So I can move straight on to the rest of the card. Take your green piece with all the leaves on, and this will be glued on too. Stems are quite narrow. I left this without the actual flower shapes on the stems and leaves so that you've got a bit of flexibility when you're placing them. And then it goes around about there. There we go. I'll add the layers of the vase next, starting with the white one. And for this, I'm going to add a little bit of 3D effect with some foam squares. That's the ones I'm using. Any size will do. If they're really small, you'll need a couple more. If they're really big, you can always cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. Peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Then stick this over the pot shape on the green, like that. Then there are 2 more layers for the pot, and the next one is the one with the sort of solid filled in flowers that comes in the lighter blue. This is glued on. There's one. And then the detailed layer, very thin, so be careful with that glue. This will get glued on top. Okay, next we've got the flowers, and these will be put on with our foam squares. It makes it easier to position them, and again gives it a little bit more depth. You can use how it looks in Design Space as a guide, or you can just play about and position them wherever you want them to go. I'll start with my purple flower, 1 foam square on the back, and then just gently place it. I'm not going to push it down yet, just put it there so that I can get everything in place first. I'll go for this big blue one. I've got my Design Space screen open next to me, so I'm trying to match it as best I can, just so that my card actually looks like the file that you'll be getting. But it doesn't really matter where you put all the bits. This one goes on top of that stem. Then I might need smaller foam squares for this one. Nope, just about goes on. Don't worry if you push in any of the petals while you're doing this, we can fix that at the end. That one. And a purple one next to it. Okay. Then red again. This one's going, so it looks like it's coming off of that stem. And blue next in the middle. And one more yellow to finish. I've pushed in quite a few of the petals on that one, so I'm just going to put them back up. And I think these need moving along a little. There, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to push down. This will squish your middles out a little bit. If you need to, you can take your tool, and now it's got foam under it, it's quite soft anyway. So you can try and get them up again, or you can just bend the petals up, the edges of those white bits, with your finger. And there we have it. My fold out flowers in vase is all finished. It's a lovely, beautiful card. And just look at that shine on the holographic card when I move it. And it goes beautifully with the other one, which has the bouquet instead. That one you can see shining as well. After you've made these, they will fold flat to go in an envelope, and then whoever opens it can put the petals out again. Or if you'd prefer to make them a little bit safer so that the petals don't all go flat, you can put them in a DIY presentation box. I've got free SVGs for that on my website. I'll drop the link to that tutorial in the comments or the description of this video, so you can go ahead and grab that if you'd like to put these in a box rather than an envelope. And I'll also drop my main envelope tutorial link too. So that was the 2 pre-made cards that you get with today's Card Making Countdown download. But let's take it one step further now and use these flowers to design something new and unique in Design Space. Now let's look into creating custom cards with the different download that's included with today's project, which is all of these flowers individually. You can use these on a card either to make a scene like the ones we've just made, where you're using the background pieces that go underneath them, or you can just use the cut lines and add them with other images and designs to create something new. To start, let's make a base card by going into Shapes and choosing a square. And I'm going to do a 5x7 inch landscape card, I think. So my width will be 7 and my height will be 10. Change it to white, and then I'll add a score line in the middle by going into Shapes and then a score line. Change it to 7 inches and rotate it 90 degrees. Then I can select that score line and my rectangle and go Align Center to put it in the middle, and then down the bottom of the Layers panel press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut where we want it to score. And then I want to add a couple more rectangles to the front of my card. One will be a coloured rectangle, which I'll cut out from holographic or glitter card. And then on top of that, I'll have white. So how it will work is all of my little cutouts I'll be putting into the white will show whatever colour I put behind it. So I'll go into Shapes again, choose another square, and let's make it, I think, 1/2 inch smaller than the base card. So 6.5 wide, 4.5 tall, and let's go for, just make it pink for now. Then we want one more that's a little bit smaller, which will be our white. I'll take 1/4 inch off this time, 6.25 by 4.25. Make that white. There we go. Alright, so the type of card I'm going to create is I'm going to add a silhouette, a shape of something onto here, and then combine it with the flowers. Go into Images, and you don't have to use Cricut Access for this, you can use any SVG that you upload. Let's try searching for Spaniel. You want an image that's just one layer. You can make that easier by going into Layers and the filter and choosing Single. And also under Operation Type, change it to Cut Only and have a little look through. If you are looking for dog breeds, I've got over 150 different ones available in Design Space, which are all silhouettes. You can see my name comes up here. So let's choose one of those. I'll go for this one. This is a Springer Spaniel, and this is the image number for if you want to choose the same one. You just need to type this into the search box up here. Make sure you remember the hashtag, and let's add this to my canvas. Okay, size it so it'll fit nicely on the white. And then I want to add some flowers into the back so that the flowers will cut into the design a little bit, and also just some around these edges to add a little bit more into the gaps. So click on all the flowers and ungroup the layers by pressing the ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel. And then you can start, okay, first let's actually undo that to put them all back into a group, and then select the group and go Arrange, Bring to Front. Otherwise it will all appear underneath the card. Now I can ungroup the layers and start adding my flowers. So for now I'm going to keep all of the coloured bits behind them. It gives us more flexibility later on, and it also makes sure you're spacing out the flowers correctly so that there's enough gap between the cut lines if you're putting two quite close to each other. Alright, so a couple of these I'm going to put so that they're going into the dog's back, and then a few around the outside. It doesn't matter what colours you choose because we're not actually going to be using the colours come the end, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, that's probably enough to be going into the dog. Oops. So I've sort of just lined them up about on the back, and then it will cut the silhouette around the edge of that, so it'll look like the flowers are just going in, which will be really nice. And I think we could do with a few more up here. And also a few around the edge, around the rest of the design. Some of these I'll duplicate because I think it looks nice if you have the same flowers sort of repeated rather than using completely different ones for the whole thing. It gives a little bit more consistency throughout the different parts of the design. Remember that the smaller you make the flowers, the closer together those lines are going to be. So if you make it too small, you might find that your card tears if the blade gets too close on them. So don't go teeny tiny, but this should be okay. And then a few more on the other side. It's up to you how many you put and where you put them. It will depend also a little bit on your silhouette as to where they'll look appropriate. You could also go into the silhouette at a few more places if you want to. So I could go into it there in the front legs. Okay, so that's going to look really nice, but I'm going to add a little bit extra by adding in some of these little pictures from the bottom of the SVG design. These can be made really small because these are just cutouts. They're going to cut from the card. And just fill in a few little gaps with these. Adds a bit more interest. It means you'll get a bit more of your coloured card showing through the holes. If you find you can't resize it once you've made it small, you need to zoom in a little bit more, and then those boxes will appear again. I'm just going to do a few more of these. I'm trying to do it quite quickly so that you're not watching this for absolutely ages. Oh, didn't mean to resize that like that. They are a little bit tricky to pick up when they're small. Okay, so this would be my design. I'm happy with how this is looking. Maybe just make that one a tad bigger. So now we can start thinking about how we're going to join everything together. Another thing you might want to do is to add circles to the middle of the flowers as a little cutout for the middle, and then again you'll see a bit more of the colour through, but we can do that at the end. For now, I'm going to go through all the flowers that are not touching the silhouette and delete their backing piece. So those two here on the back and this one on the front legs, I'm not going to delete that one because they're touching the silhouette. But these other ones, I can go through and delete. Delete. And then if you want to add the middles to any of the flowers, do that now. So we'll go into shapes, choose a circle. Doesn't matter what colour you do it because remember it's going to be a cutout, so you'll see your pink or whatever colour you've got through the gaps. You might need to make some of them bigger or smaller depending on the particular flowers you're putting it. For example, that one can get away with having one that's a little bit bigger, but this one needs to be quite a bit smaller, and I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard to put that in place, which can be a little bit easier than trying to do it with the mouse. And a few more up here. That one's going to need to be really tiny. You'll make sure you don't get too close to the petals, otherwise if your circle was touching the petals, it's all going to cut out as one piece rather than being a hole in the middle. That one might actually be too close to get away with putting a circle in. I can try that. That's completely tiny. I'll also add some circles into the 3 that I've got touching the dog. These ones are a little bigger. Again, for now, you're just placing the circle on and getting it where you want it to be. Oops. There, and then one more, which is that teeny tiny one again. There, okay. Right, we're getting there now. This is starting to take shape. The next thing to do is to slice your silhouette out of your white rectangle. So select both of those layers. You can click one in the layers panel, press shift on your keyboard and choose the other one, and then press slice. That'll bring everything to the top. So you can delete the silhouette, and then you've got this bit left, which we need to move back to the bottom under arrange, center back, and then just drag it above your coloured rectangle. Have a little look to see if there's any pieces which you're going to lose if this is cut out. For example, this bit in the legs, that will cut as a separate piece of card, and I'm not going to stick that on. So you can click on the... I've just realised I've put that in the flower group. Bring forward, there we go. So I can click on this and go into contour and hide that. And now we need to join the flowers that are touching to that cutout. So let's select all of these and ungroup them. Ungroup. And then select the coloured layer of those flowers. Just make sure you've definitely got the coloured one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sure, this is going to be easier if I delete all of these ones, because I'm not going to need them now. And then my layers panel is going to be a little bit easier to work out what I'm doing. Okay, so now I can see them easier. That one, and that one. And then also the dog. Go combine and weld, and that will join them on. So now my white piece has the outlines of those flowers on it. Once again, that needs to go back to the bottom, and then just move it above the pink. Come on. I really struggle with dragging things in the layers panel. You can also use the arrange button instead. Arrange, bring forward. There we go. Okay, one step left to do, and that is to hide your coloured rectangle and the main base card, and then everything that's left, drag a box around it to select it all, and then down the layers panel, press attach. This is going to change it so that it looks a bit different. Everything that's currently coloured on here is going to change just to be an outline. There we go. So now this will all cut in one piece with all the flower lines cut on there, and the circles will all be cut out of the middle. You can turn these back on, and that will give a good idea of what it's going to look like. I'm now going to save this, which I probably should have been doing along the way, but we'll save it now. And then this is ready to cut out. Just to show you what it's going to look like, I'll click on make up here. And so this is my 2 white pieces. I'll do it from A4, so I'll need to use 2 sheets of card. And then you should just have one more rectangle, which will be your coloured bit. A holographic or metallic card looks really nice, or glitter card, or just something really bold and vibrant to show through the colours here. I'll go and get this cut out, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's all put together. I just thought I'd jump in with this little extra video clip to show you that sometimes when you're designing new things, it doesn't always go to plan. So my dog card that I just showed you, when I was cutting it out, unfortunately my card kept tearing on these flowers. The cut lines for the petals were just so close to the outline that was going into the dog that it was really struggling. I did it twice, and both times it ripped in that same place. So it looks like I need to go back into Design Space and just fix this area. And rather than just skipping this bit and fixing it and not even telling you that it went wrong, I thought it would be more helpful to show you this one so that if you have the same thing and some of your flowers aren't cutting correctly, that I can show you how to fix it. There are also a couple of other things too, like this flower here is very delicate with all those petals with the cut lines being so close to each other. So seeing as I'm editing it anyway, I'll make that one a little bit bigger so it's a bit more stable. So back to Design Space. So here's how to fix it where it's tearing. You see it is actually very close. So I'm going to undo until I get those welded parts back. Here we go. And at this point, you actually could save it or make a copy of it so that if you weren't cutting it out straight away, like I was, you're maybe coming back another day to cut it out. It means if you need to undo, you haven't lost anything, because once you've welded, if you close and open the project again, you can't actually unweld. So let's select everything, group it, and make a copy. Just call that original layers, hide it so that we know if we need it, we've got it. Then ungroup this one again. Alright, so the one down here was actually okay, but I'll probably fix it a little bit anyway. This flower was a little bit delicate and thin, so I'll make it a little bigger. It did cut fine, but it's very narrow where those petals come in, so I think making it a bit bigger will be helpful. And then to fix these outlines, let's click on one of the outlines, go into offset, and give it a tiny offset. So that's just a little bigger, 0.04. Okay, and then I'll delete the green and we'll make this a yellow just so you can see what it's done. And then do the same for this one, give it an offset. I'm going to go for that same number. Then I can delete the red. So basically we're giving it more space between where the petals are being cut and where it's going to cut out of the dog, which means it will just be a little bit easier for the Cricut to cut the lines. There. Okay, so now we can do what we did before and weld the yellows to the white. Send it to the back and move it up there. And then all of this attached together. There we go. Let's resave over that one. Actually, now I'm looking at this, there's a little gap here, which I don't really like. To fix it, I'll just go into shapes and choose a circle. Position that over that tiny gap and then weld that. So I need to detach everything and then weld that new circle to my dog piece. Just fills it in, just makes it a little easier to cut again, a little bit more pleasing on the eye. And now attach again. And here we go. Right, I'm going to cut this out again and it should be a lot easier this time on those thin bits around these flowers and also where the petals were close to the outline before. I've cut my modified version out now and it's done so much better on those lines, and also these flowers here have cut better at that slightly bigger size, so I'm definitely glad I went in and made those tweaks so it was a bit easier to cut. I've used another bit of holographic card, which is very, very shiny, and I've already folded up all of the petals on the card. So all I need to do is turn it over and add some glue. Make sure you don't add any glue to anything that's folded upwards, otherwise you'll stick those petals to your card and they won't be able to fold out anymore. But anything else can have a little bit of glue on. And then that will go right in the middle of my very, very shiny holographic card. It looks really effective. Just give that a moment. And then I think I'll use my foam squares again on the back of this piece to stick it to my main card base so that it's got that little bit of extra 3D look to it. Gotta be careful with this so I don't move it before the glue is dry. And also you don't want to push down too hard, otherwise you'll fold in all those petals again. I'm going to put some down the edge, but also in the middle. As this is a big bit of card and it's heavy because it's holographic, so it's thick. So if there was nothing in the middle, then it might not be straight or flat. It might kind of bow down a little bit. So as well as putting them around the edge like that, put a few in the middle too. Give it a nice stable platform. Now this can go in the middle of my card. Just check it's going to open the right way. Some of those petals out a bit more. And there it is, my custom fold out flower card using my spaniel silhouette. So shiny. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make fold out flower cards with your Cricut, either making custom ones or by using the pre-made templates. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut tutorials. I hope to see you tomorrow for the final day of the card making countdown. Thank you for watching. Bye!